Hello people, here we are, first Suffragette National Day. We're here at the Kingston Mill Locks where the Shafia girls 8 years ago were murdered. They were actually, I'm going to turn this around. You can see where we're at. This is the locks. This is where the car was plunged. It was actually hanging off of this concrete embankment here, and it was pushed by another car. It came down from here and through to here, and that's where the girls were found dead, and their brother, mother, and father were charged about a month later. So we're here today and we're protesting M103, and you can see our posters here. We've got Kirsten French, Leslie Mahaffey, there's Rona and Sahar Shafia. She is 17, right there again. Honor killing victim. You can see the acid face on this woman, and we're also going to speak about the missing Indigenous women. And this is Aska Pervez, who was killed by her father, strangled actually, for not wearing her hijab. Okay, so I'm going to pass this phone. Here we have our lovely team of patriots and suffragettes, beautiful people who have taken time out of their busy lives to come and commemorate and honor these girls' lives and all of the victims of violence. So I'm going to pass this off. I don't know if I'm going to send it, give it to Batman, but somebody, if they could turn that around so I don't have to hold it, that I can still hold my my notes here. And did you flip that there?
You're ready.
Great. Okay, so we come here together one day before our 150th anniversary, Canada Day, to remember and give honor to the lives of 3 young sisters and their word, silence. Silence is consent. Yeah. Which is why we as suffragettes, as equalists with our brothers, our superhero men, our gallant chivalry, who stand in defense of women and children's rights. Bravo! Bravo!
Batman. Yeah.
Which is why suffragettes are standing as equalists and against violence and silence. Interesting. Don't those words fit hand in hand? Violence and silence. Because where there is silence, there is injustice and the potential for a dangerous environment, especially for the vulnerable and the unsuspecting. Our colors don't run, they rally. Green is for equality, purple is for justice, and white is for freedom. We want, as women and for our children and for our society, a world free from violence. I know it's a big task we have at hand, but we must leave no stone unturned. Let us listen closely and learn about the first act of terrorism committed on Canadian soil. It was not, as many think, Officer Vincent Patrice, nor the father of a precious 5-year-old son, beautiful Nathan Corporal Cirillo. It was against feminists at the ECOLE POLYTECH in Montreal. Marc Lapine, a 25-year-old man armed with a rifle and hunting knife, began to shoot the women, his perceived enemy. He stated in his suicide note he was fighting against feminism. He killed 14 young women, injured 10 others, and 4 men within 20 minutes. What carnage. The silence was only cut with the sounds of bullets tearing into his intended victims. A great deal has been detailed about this act of misogynist terrorism. However, there is one extremely important detail that speaks volumes as to the motive of this crime, which is what mainstream media has been mute on. Just like Aidan Cobain is referred to as a Dutchman, Marc Lapine was not entirely French, only on his mother's side. His father was a Muslim Algerian businessman who was, I quote, abusive and contemptuous of women. Marc Lapine, he changed his name at 14. His real name, his true name, is Gamil Lias GHARBI. Now, I'm no scientist, but I am a suffragette, and I pay close attention to all potential contributing factors that can harm my society. And so I take note that there are cultural influences. So as we stand together and we solemnly look at this sad sight and think of how these women suffered in horror and how helpless they were and what they endured, let us ask ourselves, how can we prevent this from happening again? Well, I will tell you, an enormous way that we can all help is by speaking out, using our voices. These victims were silenced, some of them terminally. But what was the environment that all of these victims endured? How are all of these incidents correlated, as is every act of violence? What does a person do when they are in need or in trouble? They shout, they scream, they cry out. It is a survival instinct. Bullying and violence rely on intimidation, blackmail, slander, and shaming and oppression. They want to make their target even think they are losing their mind. Silence is injustice. Silence encourages a climate of control and shame over a victim and its victims. It seeks to quell, take by force, or oppress. And the other must give up something and sacrifice. And that sacrifice is not just the right and the freedom to be heard. It is a liberty to decide upon and arrive upon truth. So therefore, it is essentially enslavement to an intimidating and oppressive force and contrary to a free democracy. I will not be quelled. Which, thank you, and we'll do our chant after, but which brings me in closing, more food for thought. You can see the suffragette banner here. We will not be quelled.
No.
Okay, that's our big banner. Motion M103. What is the word that's so imperative in this? Is motion. To move forward, move towards. What victims and provide others exemption from justice. M103 is a predatory, aggressive, dangerous motion that serves no one but those who wish to stay in the darkness of lies and not address the light of truth. Islam cannot be given a free pass any more than misogyny can be. We need to look at all teachings and regarding the treatment of, and the rights and freedoms of others, especially women and children. Like any investigation, I'm sure this place was crawling with police officers and forensics. There is nothing that should be concealed, hidden, and there is nothing that is not to worry about. We must investigate everything when it comes to the deaths of innocent children. Misogyny, terrorism, oppression, intimidation, quelling, and hate, they have no race. They are what free civilized societies have been fighting against since time began. Silencing those who seek justice and truth is like lining up innocent people before a firing squad and telling them not to scream. Say yes to liberty and say no to motion M13.
Yes.
Stop the silence, stop enabling the criminality. I will not be quelled into submission. Give me liberty or give me death.
Amen. There you go.
Sadly, for many victims of violence, we only learn of their sad experiences after they are long gone and understand the horrors that they had suffered, and often it's years. As every feminist, anti-violence, anti-bullying campaign professes, let us break the silence, push back the night. Let us be beacons in the darkness and seek justice. Let us not be hypocrites, but live by these words and not simply gratuitously indulge in sanctimonious, self-serving lip-syncing for fanfare and show, but stay true to the cause, as though lives depended on it. our actions that we aren't taking, this, so to speak, laying down, because that, my dear sisters and brothers, is the Canadian way. We are not laying down for violence against women, against children, against our people. We are not laying down. In fact, we will lay down our lives to sacrifice, just as the birthday of Canada is 150 years old. That type of resolve is what made us a strong and free and democratic society. And if there is a measure, one law for all, if somebody isn't having their voice heard, then we lift them up so their voice can be heard. And children have always been afforded special rights under the law, not cultures. Cultures don't get a free pass. We need to look at the racist element of the Indigenous women. We need to look at the racist element of the misogyny committed against women and children. Let's turn that racism, let's turn that culturalism back on it. The sexism, thank you, sister. This is what needs to be thoroughly investigated. This is not a time for quelling. There is never a good time for quelling. The quell can go to hell.
There you go.
We need, yeah, to hell with the quell. To hell with the quell. And take note, ICRA, because we'll be giving speeches the next Suffragette Day, or if we don't get there this summer. But I tell you, next year it will be at the POLYTECH ECOLE, where those 14 women were killed. And he said, oh, he felt the feminists were going to take jobs from him. I don't care what your moronic excuse is. We lost 14 brilliant girls, young women that day, and 4 men, and 10 who are still living through the hell of this. So I'm going to take, we have our power pins, okay? And this lady here, she has one, and you can zoom in. That's what's called a power pin. That's a suffragette power pin that we make. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of the suffragette dust. This is suffragette dust, and this comes from the making of these pins. And we are going to give this to these Shafia girls and to all victims of violence, male or female. This is green for equality, purple for justice, and white for freedom or liberty. So here we go. God bless these girls.
God bless.
Okay? Yes, rest in peace, girls, and we fight for you.
That's right. Hoo-ah.
Suffragette dust, that's magic. And if you can't fight for further rights for women, I like what one of the sisters said today, and actually her, who I drove here today with, her grandmother and her great-grandmother were suffragettes in Europe. And she said, women, well, it's really for all society because we are equalists now, but if you can't fight to gain some, you have to, okay, let me put it this way, you have to fight to maintain the rights. We're not giving up rights. This isn't a time for giving up rights or biasly giving one culture more rights than others.
That's right.
No, that is sexism. It is. And we will not allow yes, this bullshit. Islam is not a race.
Not gonna tolerate.
Right. Canada isn't a race, okay? We investigate everybody. Doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. We investigate anybody. Doesn't matter your hair color. Doesn't matter what shoes you wear.
No one is above the law.
Right. The law, what is it? Justice is blind. Right. Okay? It doesn't know your color. But we need to know the details. And we need to get to the heart of these matters to save harm. Girls, children, and all victims of violence. Pedophilia. All of it. It doesn't care whether it's a girl or a boy. It's all just a sickness. So God bless Patriots. Happy Canada 150th birthday, and that's it. So now we're going to have another speaker coming up soon. Stay tuned.